This is home for many of you, and we invite you certainly to be here and to be a part of us, not just for Culturama or Carnival or Music Festival, but obviously at any time of the year. So when the snow starts piling up there, remember, we don't have snow in Nevis, we have sand, beautiful beaches, beautiful warm water, and we invite you to come and be a part of what we're doing here. Now, we have a very interesting show, I think, tonight. I want to start by thanking the Honorable Eric Evelyn and the Honorable Troy Liebert for filling in for me over the past 2 weeks. I have been on the road, I have been unavailable, and I thank my colleagues for coming to the rescue and for filling in for me on the show. So kudos to them and thank them very much. This show is a show that takes place every Wednesday from 8 to 10, rain or shine. Once Von Reid is on the air, we're here. And sometimes when I can't make it, I get my colleagues to come for me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark, Straight Talk Across the Narrows. We're going to have some straight talk tonight, and we're going to discuss a few things. I start at the top of the show by mentioning, of course, our concerns over the coronavirus. This, we are told, is a flu-like virus that seemed to have originated in a place in China, mainland China, called Wuhan. And it has spread now to several countries. Just tonight I'm hearing that Canada has had its first case. There was a scare in Jamaica earlier, but it appears that that has been ruled out, and we are hopeful that we can keep this virus out of the Caribbean. What can we do? The public health officials here have been activated. I am very pleased at the response that they've had thus far. And what they're saying is that this is a flu-like, and therefore you have symptoms such as coughing, sneezing, body aches, fever, and the like. It is deadly because it has killed already many people. And what they're saying to us is the best defense is to wash your hands regularly with soap and water. We were taught this by our parents, to wash your hands regularly. They say if you're coughing or if you have flu-like symptoms, do not go to work, do not go to school, because you may infect others. You stay at home. Also, of course, in relation to the warnings that have been given, they're suggesting that we do not put our hands in our eyes or in our mouths, and that we try, as always, to wash our hands regularly with soap and water. Those are some of the things we can do. There's also a suggestion that we drink lots of fluids and drink lots of water so you remain hydrated. This coronavirus is no joke. It is deadly. In fact, they seem very concerned about it in China. They have shut down Wuhan, from what we've heard, and they are restricting travel to some parts in and out of China. Now, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis should feel some comfort that our students in Taiwan, that is the Republic of China on Taiwan, that they appear to be safe. I have been in touch with our ambassador there, Her Excellency Jasmine Huggins, who reports that all is well, although, of course, in Taiwan, they are also on high alert. We also found out that we have a single Nevisian woman who lives and works in Wuhan. Thankfully, when this news hit, she apparently was out of the country, and she too appears to be safe. We will continue to monitor, and as certainly Premier, and more in my role as Foreign Minister, I will be in touch and continue to update you. Now, I went to Jamaica. That's why I wasn't here on the show last week, because last week, Wednesday, I had a meeting in Jamaica. We were invited, St. Kitts and Nevis, which I think was a good sign, by the United States to meet with Secretary of State Pompeo, Michael Pompeo, and, of course, to have discussions about regional matters, no doubt, but also about hemispheric matters and about bilateral issues, that is, between St. Kitts and Nevis and the United States. We took a decision as a cabinet that we would attend the meeting, and since the invitation had been extended, that it was important that St. Kitts and Nevis be at the table. I commented in my remarks that it was perhaps indicative of the relevance and importance of multilateralism, that the largest and most powerful country in the world was at the same table as the smallest country in the Americas, St. Kitts and Nevis. And that, I think, ought not to be poo-pooed. It is important that we were able to sit at the table, and that St. Kitts and Nevis was able to sit across from the United States of America at the highest levels and to make its case for the various issues that are important to us. And so we went there. I would report that the meeting went well. As I said in my press conference that I hosted just yesterday that I think that Secretary of State Pompeo was generous with his time. He was candid and forthright, and none of the things that people anticipated would happen happened. For example, he never mentioned Venezuela once. Not once. In fact, in our bilateral, I was the one who asked him what is their position now on Venezuela. He did mention the OAS, but only to say that the United States is fully supportive of the re-election of Luis Almagro, a position that we knew they held even before we went into the meeting. Many anticipated there would be some arm twisting. Some say that those who attended were seeking in some way to create problems within CARICOM, and the invitation to some was problematic. My view is that only CARICOM can divide CARICOM. And sometimes it is important for us to have meetings, have dialogue, have discussions. I said to someone just tonight that Germany and the Great United States were at war. Japan and the Great United States were at war. Where are they today? The United Kingdom was at war with Germany. Where are they today? They're friends today. And the only way sometimes that you can make friends and resolve differences is through dialogue. When dialogue breaks down, violence is the only solution that is left. And so I, as foreign minister, my role and my mandate from the cabinet is to be friend to all and foe to none. To engage and to continue to engage with our partners, and the United States has been a most critical and important partner for us. And so we continue in that vein and will continue in that vein. I thought the meetings went well, and I am pleased that St. Kitts and Nevis had an opportunity to sit at the table and to discuss issues. Now, momentous news today, because today at the St. Thomas's Primary School, we had the launch of our green initiative, that is to plant 10,000 trees. We are going to plant 10,000 trees in Nevis this year, fruit trees and ornamentals. The idea is to get the schools involved, to get the hotels involved, to get the NGOs involved. It will be managed by the Ministry of Agriculture through the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, and we want to thank our partners who've already stepped forward and a part already of the process. We want to thank those partners who are prepared to give up their time and, of course, to provide some plant material. We want to thank the Department of Agriculture, which is already propagating several plants. Those plants are going to be either given away to the public or provided to the public at minimal cost. The idea is that we want you to plant and plant and plant. Plants, as we know, are important. They clean our air. They ensure that the environment stays pristine. And we thought that it was a good initiative to use this opportunity to beautify Nevis, to plant more fruit trees, which is critical. Just the other day, somebody said to me, we don't see things like shaddock anymore. We're not seeing tangerine and those things that as boys and girls, we grew up in Nevis picking tangerine, picking shaddock. We're not seeing as many of those. We're not seeing things like some of we call it poncerat, other people call it other names, but we're not seeing that. And so we're saying that we need to plant more. We need to see again mangoes everywhere and other plants that we've taken for granted over the years. And so we will be planting a lot of fruit trees, and we will be planting a lot of ornamentals as well, like flamboyant, our national tree, our national flower, and also palm trees to beautify our highways and our verges. And so the public, we're asking you to get engaged, to get involved. We have reached out to the Four Seasons Resort. We have reached out to the Taiwanese. We are asking all who have plants, who can get involved with this process, the church groups, and everybody else. It is, I think, a good project, and I want to congratulate the Honorable Alexis Jeffers and the team, the Honorable Eric Evil and the Honorable Troy Liebert. They were all today at the St. Thomas's Primary School. In fact, it was quite touching that the Honorable Troy Liebert planted some trees with his daughter. And you know what's important? If you get children at that age interested and engaged, I think it augurs well for us. And so St. Thomas's always takes the lead, and they will be leading in that regard. In planting trees today, we launched a program there. 10,000 trees. If you sense that I'm excited, it's because I think it's a very exciting initiative. Nevis has always taken the lead and showing how it ought to be done. So we invite everyone to get on board and to get involved. Now, St. Thomas's is going to be interesting. And let me segue now to some politics. It's going to be interesting because, as we know, Joseph Parry has departed the stage. The Honorable Joseph Parry politically has left the building. And so, he not only walked away from the leadership of the NRP, he has now walked away from the parish of St. Thomas's as the area representative. He has, we are told, named a young woman, Cleone Simmons, Mrs. Cleone Simmons, to replace him. And as we all know, a by-election will be triggered by his resignation. And I gather, based on the advice that I've had, that that by-election must occur within 90 days. And so we look forward to an election in the parish of St. Thomas's to fill that vacant seat left vacant by the resignation of Joseph Walcott Parry. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the horses will be off to the races fairly soon. Mrs. Cleone Simmons, I confess I don't know her. I don't know much about her. But she's a young woman. She's in the vision. And I always encourage people, particularly young people and more women, to get involved in the political process. And so, Mrs. Simmons, if you're listening, welcome to politics. It's not going to be easy. And you could be assured that the CCM is going to do everything in its power to bring the St. Thomas's seat into the CCM fold. Why should the people of St. Thomas's not have a representative in cabinet? They should. And they have an opportunity in this by-election to send someone to cabinet, not to the parliament to make noise, but to cabinet, because only when they are in cabinet are they able to agitate and to bring home some bacon for the people of St. Thomas's. What I mean by bring home some bacon? Who's going to advocate to bring projects to St. Thomas's? Who's going to come and say roads need fixing? Basketball courts need doing. Netball courts and cricket fields. Health centers, police stations, they all need dealing with. Who's going to come? You voted for Mr. Parry and you've been consistent in your support of the NRP. But the NRP has been in the wilderness since 1992. They came back to life in 2006 and were promptly dismissed in 2013. And we hope that they will stay in the wilderness. So tonight I'm appealing to the good people of St. Thomas's. While I welcome young Mrs. Simmons to politics, I'm saying that she has come at the wrong time. That now you have an opportunity. This is not a general election. In a general election, I understand that people vote because they would like their party to form the government. This is not a general election. And this government, the CCM government that I lead, has another 3 years. Another 3 years in office. So what would be the point of sending someone from the NRP back? Because the only place you're sending them is to the parliament. You're not sending them to the cabinet, and the cabinet is where the business is done. The cabinet is where you get things done. And that is why we are encouraging the people of St. Thomas's not to go out and vote for a parliamentarian, go out and vote for a cabinet member. Send somebody to the cabinet. And we will very shortly be in your area speaking to you, making the point that what we want for St. Thomas's is somebody in the inner bosom, somebody who will sit at the cabinet table. And when the Honorable Deputy Premier Alexis Jeffers said he wants something for St. James, and the Honorable Eric Evelyn said he wants something for Gingerland, and the Honorable Spencer Brand demands something for Charlestown, and I, of course, said, no, we have to get something for St. John's. Then the good people of St. Thomas's will also have someone there to say, listen, Cotton Ground needs something. Barnescott needs something. Westbury needs something. Craddock Road needs something. Jessops, the fisher folk over there need something. You need a representative, not just in the parliament, but in the cabinet. And this by-election provides a unique opportunity to allow the people of St. Thomas's not to waste their vote. Let me say it again. It provides a unique opportunity for the people of St. Thomas's not to waste their vote. Because a vote for the NRP is a wasted vote. A vote for the NRP is simply going to send somebody in parliament to make noise. That's all it's going to do. Because at the end of the day, the cabinet is where the business is done. And so I'm saying to the people of St. Thomas's, take stock, take a look, find out for yourself and what is in your best interest. We understand that you've traditionally voted for the NRP, but I believe this is a glorious occasion for you to send somebody to the cabinet. send somebody to the cabinet. This is not a general election. You already know that CCM is in office, and you already know that CCM will stay in office, whatever the results in this by-election. And so, make your vote count and send somebody to the cabinet. That's what we want, so that you could have the representation at the cabinet level to ensure that the people of St. Thomas's and their voice is always heard. That is critical. And so whilst again I welcome Mrs. Simmons and wish her long life in politics, I say to you that this is an occasion now for us to vote in St. Thomas's for the Concerned Citizens Movement. And we will be coming to you and we'll be making that case. And we hope that the people, the good people of Jessops and Barnesgut and Cotton Ground, of Westbury and Craddock Road, that the good people of the constituency of St. Thomas's, that those people will indeed have an open mind and look at what we are seeking to achieve, which is to ensure that they get better representation in the cabinet, and that through the cabinet and their representative there, they can benefit in a more substantial way. Now, that is not to suggest that as Premier of Nevis, I have been unmindful of the people of St. Thomas's Parish. Not at all. In fact, we have, since we've been in government a short period of time, done a number of things in St. Thomas's, and there is a lot more to come. We have a whole program to roll out in St. Thomas's over the next year, year and a half. So people of St. Thomas's can be assured that they're not being forgotten at all. But what I'm saying to you is, you get even more benefit if there's somebody who's constantly in the Premier's ear, somebody who's constantly in the cabinet banging the table and saying, St. Thomas's, St. Thomas's, St. Thomas's. That's what you need. Not somebody to go into Parliament once every 2 months to make noise. They could go on radio and do that. You need somebody now. And I think it's time people start to vote for their interest and their community's interest, and to send representatives who can deliver for you and for your families. So St. Thomas's is an area that, as I said, we will be there and we will seek to see how things go. Now, again, it is 20 past the hour of 8 o'clock. The public, you'll have to bear with me because I've been away for a while and I have a few things to say. So we will open the lines in due course, not yet, and let you call. Just so you know, when you wish to call, the numbers are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to bear with me because I want to lay out a case. I'm going to lay out a few cases tonight, but I want to start with this case. This CCM administration, led by me, I remember very clearly my maiden speech, in fact, my coming out speech as Premier of Nevis. It was at ETW Park, and I espoused the kinder, gentler Nevis. I spoke about one Nevis. I said we ought to harness all the talent that we can because we are too small to continue the tribalism that had hitherto existed. As part of that kinder, gentler one Nevis, I reached out to Mr. Parry. Mr. Parry is the sole elected member on the opposition. He is the only one from the NRP that people found favor with. And so he was alone, and under our constitution, he therefore could not be appointed leader of the opposition because the constitution requires that the person to be appointed leader of the opposition must have the support of at least one other member. And Mr. Parry stood alone. He had no support of any other member, no other elected person, and therefore he could not be appointed leader of the opposition. Notwithstanding, as Premier of Nevis, who said and who meant that we must usher in a new paradigm, a new framework for our country, that we must require now a politics that is bigger than the individual enmity that sometimes develops, that we must encourage our supporters to seek to build each other and to seek to foster the best Nevis that we can get. That in so doing, we needed to harness all the resources that we had. Not to alienate half the island, not to put half the island out of work. We have seen that in the past. We are saying no. Nevisians and those who choose to live in Nevis must work together harmoniously to build Nevis. That is what One Nevis was about. And so I, as Premier of Nevis, took it upon myself to reach out to Mr. Parry and to say to him that notwithstanding you are not leader of the opposition, I will accord you the courtesy of providing for you an office fully staffed and equipped for you to function as the opposition. I spoke to my colleagues, and God bless them, they were supportive of the idea. We end up spending a considerable sum. I believe, based on the numbers, we're looking at probably close to $6,000 a month in order to provide that particular space for Mr. Parry. Now, as I said, Mr. Parry is not leader of the opposition. I could have said to him, Joe, I'm sorry, but you're not leader of the opposition. You never got enough seats. But instead I said, no. Let us accord Mr. Parry the respect that he deserves. He is an elected member opposite. And let us therefore provide the office, because oftentimes people come to the island and they want to interact with, pay a courtesy call on, or have a meeting with somebody in the opposition. And he was the only elected member of the opposition. I recall the discussions very well. And ladies and gentlemen, hear me out. We identified an office for Mr. Parry. Mr. Parry came back to us. He said, please, could he have the courtesy of choosing his own office? And we agreed that he could have that courtesy. I want you all to listen to me carefully. So we extended the courtesy to him of an office. Never before in the history of the country has that happened. We extended the courtesy to him, notwithstanding he was not leader of the opposition. And then when we identified an office, and he said to us, could we extend the courtesy further of allowing him to choose his own office? We said yes, provided that the sums involved were within the range that we were prepared to pay. I think that is eminently reasonable, and that we acted in good faith in the circumstances. Mr. Parry opted for an office in the St. Thomas's area. What's that area called over there? Cades Bay? In that area. And we said, if that is your choice, that is your choice. We were looking for an office for him in town, but he opted for that. That office had a sign on it which says NRP Campaign Headquarters. That is my recollection. Mr. Parry opted that that is the office he wanted. That is paid for by the taxpayers. We soon saw that the sign was changed, and it said something about office for the opposition or leader of the opposition, which was consistent with what we were seeking to do. But I recognize that I keep seeing these advertisements. Last Christmas, the NRP had a Christmas party for the children. Miracles do happen. Because all the years I know them, they never had no Christmas party for any children. But the CCM was doing it, and so we're thankful that they're picking up some good practices from us. So they had a Christmas party. Where they had the party? Right there at those offices, on the grounds. I said that was interesting. Then I see the Honorable, well, not Honorable anymore, Patrice Nisbet. He's still Honorable, forgive me, he's a member of the Federal House. The Honorable Patrice Nisbet puts out an ad to say he's having one-on-one. It's a man who has been in politics for the past 20 years. People have grown up since he's been in politics, have achieved manhood and womanhood. And for the first time in 20 years, he says he's having one-on-one. Glory be. Miracles do happen. But where is he having the one-on-one? The same office there that the leader of the opposition, the opposition, no leader being present, the same office. So we said, well, this is odd. Because it is the same space. One door in, one door out, as far as I know, that the Nevis Island Administration, and therefore the taxpayer, is paying for. I have heard of other campaign activities happening at the office. And I have said that this is not appropriate. This is not appropriate. Remember that it was I who reached out to Mr. Parry offering him an office. It is the cabinet that agreed to do so. When Mr. Parry said he wanted to identify his own office, we agreed. And I said, give him the courtesy. Never before in the history of the country this has happened. In fact, to this day, we are not aware of any office for the opposition in St. Kitts or anywhere else. So we broke the mold, and we, in the interest of moving forward and creating the kind of St. Kitts and Nevis, and the kind of Nevis more specifically that we wanted, we made that commitment, and we honored that commitment. And the taxpayers are paying close to $6,000 a month, based on what I understand, for the setup that we have done in relation to having a place for the opposition. A formal place. Not a place for campaign. Not a place for politics. A place for the elected member of the opposition to interact as such, to meet with dignitaries when they come, who want to engage with him, to have his or her meetings. But all of a sudden, it's NRP campaign headquarters again. And it seems to me that some people feel like they're smart. I don't know why, because I was born down Henley Park. I grew up in Brownhill. Henley Park and Brownhill people are smart people. But it seems to me that some people from elsewhere feel that maybe they went to school longer than anybody else, so they're smarter than everybody else. Mark you, I, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, am the leader of CCM. I am the Premier of Nevis. I am the Minister of Finance in Nevis. Me no got no office for CCM. That is paid for by the taxpayers. There's no amount that is paid for each month out of the treasury for any office for CCM headquarters. So if I am not prepared to do that for my own party that I lead, why on earth will I do that for NRP? Cogitate on that for a moment. Cogitate on that for a moment. If I am not prepared as Minister of Finance, Premier of Nevis, and leader of CCM to provide a funded office for CCM for its campaign activities, why would we do that for the NRP? The NRP clearly doesn't understand what we have sought to do in providing an office for the elected representative. So I'm here to say that tonight I gave some instructions. And since there is nobody currently in opposition, because the office of opposition member was vacated by the resignation of Mr. Parry, that you, the taxpayers of this country, will not pay another red cent. Let me say it again. You, the taxpayers of this country, will not pay another red cent towards any office, because there is currently nobody in place in the opposition. I go further and say to you that any office that is provided for the opposition hereafter, since our kindness was taken advantage of, since the interest of a better way is being taken advantage of by the NRP, that any further office for the opposition will be an office that is rented by the NIA and which will be provided, staffed, and equipped as a space for the opposition. And if they don't want it, well, let them say they don't want it. But this idea of them deciding they will choose to go where they will turn it into a campaign office and a campaign headquarters, I am not going to stand for it. Maybe some will agree, some will disagree. But I think as a matter of principle, we ought not to abuse the public purse in that way. And so I'm very clear that we will not pay one red cent for any office anymore until such time as there is a member of the opposition, if indeed the opposition wins that by-election. And when that happens, it will be an office of the government's choosing, that will be made available. Where we can find something, that will be made available. And if at any point we perceive that there is again campaign political party activity happening there, which should be activity that is happening elsewhere, then we will have to deal with that accordingly. And I'm sounding this way because I'm very concerned about this effort by the NRP to abuse the public purse. They abused it when they were in office, and here they come again, trying to masquerade and use what is a good faith effort, an initiative that we took as a government. They were in office for 6 years, or as they say, 5 years and 18 null and void months. And at no point were any such courtesies accorded. None. We said, no, we cannot continue like that. And when I became Premier of Nevis in December of 2017, I sat with my colleagues, I said, listen, let us be done with the things of the past, and let us create for the island a new feel, a new sense that people can feel comfortable in the land of their birth, regardless of their politics. And that's what we sought to do. But there's a man, a wise man, of blessed memory now, who once said to me, whilst he still walked among us, he said, never a good deed goes unpunished. And sometimes in your effort to do good, people see it as weakness and they try to take advantage. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight, nothing targoso. Nothing targoso. And not one red cent will be paid going forward until we have been able to resolve this matter. Simple as that. As the young people say, it done day. It done day. Good. Let me move on now. I started to prosecute a case here some time ago because I hear a lot of agitation, and we hear the natural neighbors of extreme negativity. They go to the radio station every week. I hope they're paying. I hope they're paying. I know for sure the government isn't paying for them to go on radio. And they say all kinds of things. They are authorities on everything. That is a marvelous thing about us politicians. Once we decide we're going to run for a seat, we become authority on everything. Whilst in our lifetime, we can't point to a single thing at which we have succeeded. Let me say it again. Some who now say that they're running for politics become authorities on everything while not being able to demonstrate a single thing in their life at which they have succeeded. I made a comment some time ago that some have failed in life and in love. Everything they touch, they fail. Some have had a chance in government. The people say, dress them up, wash them off, give them a chance. And it's like putting lipstick on a pig, because they get in there and they behave in the same way. Who ain't worrying about land and house for their family and family members and extended family, worrying about how they could get legal fees from the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation while still acting as chair and member of the board. Conflicts of interest up and down the line. And then they come and they now say that they who demonstrated that they were the devil could correct sin. So you hear them now, and you want to say, oh, such decent Hebrew boys have come to save Nevis. The same Nevis that they raped and pillaged for 5 years and 18 null and void months. They've now come to save Nevis. They have said, we have been washed clean, our sins are gone away. And we now come to save Nevis. And you say to them, but when you sat on the throne, what did you do? You weren't concerned about Nevis and Nevisians. When you get land and house, your father get, your sister get, your brother get, your brother get, your brother get, your wife and all get. What the young man in Ramsbury get. What the young man up in Hamilton get. The young man in Craddock Road get. You weren't concerned about that. Now Spencer Brand is here, you see Craddock Road done, Stony Grove done. water going up in Hamilton. You see people who are interested in the constituents who put them there. But when the opportunity arose and the NRP was there, they had no interest in that. No. Politics was to allow them to come up in the world, to use one of them quote. He said, I am now coming up in the world. Because you see, outside the public trough, they have no pathway to come up in the world. Only the public trough they can look to. And that was the concern. So we have seen them in office. They're now out of office. Why? Because you put them out. You said to them that their behavior was such that you did not want them anymore to be in a position of leadership in this country. And so they dusted themselves off. They put their jacket and their tie in Clorox. And they now come and they say, look at me, I'm white as driven snow. And I said to you, beware. The philosophers of old used to tell us about sheep, wolves in sheep clothing. Remember? They say, examine the horns. These are all expressions that we know well. Beware of wolves in sheep clothing. Because all of a sudden I hear them and they know everything about corruption. They know everything about conflict of interest. They know everything about good governance. These have now become the buzzwords in their effort to hoodwink and bamboozle the people of Nevis. But look at their record. That is why tonight I'm going to take a few minutes to prosecute a case that I started last year. And maybe they thought I've forgotten, but I've not forgotten. And I go to my notes because this was a matter involving the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. It's a matter that should concern all of us because many of our students from Nevis choose to go to the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. And the government, naturally, is concerned. And so the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, an important institution, had an audit done. That audit covered the period January 2012 to December 2014. Those dates are important. January 2012 to December 2014. That is 1 year, 2012, 2 years, 2013, 3 years, 2014. And the audit was done from the 27th of April 2015 to the 29th of October 2015. What were the main findings of that audit? Let me read verbatim. I quote, some receipts not posted to QuickBooks, neither was evidence found that the monies collected were deposited to the CFBC bank account. Quote number 1. Number 2, monies collected for which electronic receipts were issued did not reconcile with receipt totals. Number 3, amounts collected were not deposited in full and for the period in which they were collected. Deposits were made days, weeks, and even months after collection. Deposit totals did not reconcile with receipt totals. Number 4, in some cases, there is no evidence to show that funds were deposited at all. For example, $38,071.52 on deposit summary dated 31st January 2014. You hear the date? 31st January 2014. Let me say it again. In some cases, there is no evidence to show that funds were deposited at all. For example, $38,071.52 on deposit summary dated 31st January 2014. The date is important. Payment was made. This is another finding. And I quote, payment was made to a courier and cargo service to clear personal items. You hear that? Payment was made from CFBC to a courier and cargo service to clear personal items. Here, number 6. expenses paid from the credit card from the date of issue of that card, which was July, August 2013. Oh Lord, an important date. Expenses from the credit card from the date of issue, July, August 2013, to early December 2014, in the amount, I hope you're sitting down, I hope you're sitting down, in the amount of $49,219.07 were not posted to QuickBooks until January 2015. You hear me? From July, August 2013, a credit card was issued at CFBC. And that credit card was used from then to early December 2014. Run up $49,219.07. Nothing posted to QuickBooks, to the accounting system, until the 16th of January 2015. Here's number 7. No invoices to support credit card payments. Oh my God. No invoices. When I look at some of the credit card payments, I see Marriott Resort. I see Montserrat Air. I didn't know they had an airline named Montserrat Air. I see Amazon.com. We don't know what they're buying on Amazon. We don't know who went Marriott. Who went Marriott? It was honeymoon. It was dinner. What was happening at Marriott? But you see these charges, Marriott. No receipt. No invoice. No invoice. So you have no idea what these expenses were for. $49,219.07. Hear this now. Some invoices paid by check were never posted to QuickBooks. At page 14 of the report, when the auditors compared the actual amounts on the deposit slips with the amounts on the daily, let me say that again. When the auditors compared the actual amounts on the deposit slips with the amounts on the daily deposit summaries, we found significant differences. Daily, they did it. They compared it daily, and they found significant differences. Bear that in mind. Let me say, when the auditors, at page 14, when the auditors compare the actual amounts on the deposit slips with the amounts on the daily deposit summaries, they found significant differences. Lord have mercy. It goes on, page 17. In 2014, January to December, overall collected for 2014, for that year. Listen now. If you have your calculator out, work it out with me. Here's what the report says as page 17. This is the independent audit done of CFBC covering the period January 2012 to December 2014. They said overall collected for 2014. That is the thick of things, 2014. The overall collected for 2014 was $819,276.01. Overall collected for 2014, $819,276.01. And of that, ladies and gentlemen, of that $819,276.01 that was collected by CFBC in 2014, only $375,476.32 was deposited at the bank. Let me quote from the auditors so they don't say me say. The auditors say, this led to an amount of $443,799.69 being unaccounted for. Well, that is big word, unaccounted for. In Brownhill, we will say, the money missing. Yeah? In Barnesgut, they will say, where the money gone? In Butlers, they will say, the money gone poof. $819,276.01 collected in 2014. But of that, only $375,476.32 deposited in the bank. Lord, I hear taxi man in Sinkis tell me that they used to leave CFBC with the money. And as they drive in with the money to get to the bank, look like money drop off the back of the truck. Because ordinary citizens are asking the question, what happened to that $443,799.69? What happened to it? Because it is, to use the words of the auditors, unaccounted for. In local parlance, the money missing. Where is it? Where it gone? Where it gone? 2014, the date is important. $443,799.69. My God, over 150,000 US dollars. Poof. Gone. Poof. Disappear. Well, it had to have been a magician. You had to have been Houdini to make that amount of money disappear. How many of you would have seen $443,799.69 in your lifetime? Poof! Gone. 2014. Let me go on. The report says a lot more. It's a 40-something page report. And I propose to come and to share it with you. I'm going to do that because it's important. They had a heading, less cash back, page 22. And hear what they say. Cash was taken out of monies collected and you purportedly used for purchases, but no supporting documentation for any such purchases or to whom the payments were made. So, see what happened. People used to go to CFBC and pay their money. Every time people paid money, some was taken out. And it was said that this was cash back. Meaning that must be a credit card company. All them hear about cash back. Cash back. When they say, well, what was this cash back used to do? They said to purchase things for the college. Except no invoice. No receipt. So they don't know if it was to purchase lunch, to boops. They don't know what the money was used for. No receipt, no invoice. They don't even know to whom this cashback money was paid. And I'm talking, I'm saying money went missing daily. Every day, you saw the amounts coming out. One of the records I saw said on one occasion $1,400. And they say it was for purchases for the college. Well, where's the invoice? Where's the receipt? Because if the college paid Von Radio for broadcasting something, Von should have sent a bill. The bill should be stamped paid and the receipt should be there from Von. No. So the auditors have no idea where the money gone. All they know is that the money went missing daily. That's all they know. Every day, money was disappearing. How does one justify that? Page 27. It says, failure to keep proper records of the credit card transactions. This is the conclusion of the auditors, not me. These are their words. Failure to keep proper records of the credit card transactions can lead to inappropriate use, resulting in the payments for goods and services that were not for use by the college. A total of US $18,116.57 or EC $49,219.07 was expended for credit card transactions that had no supporting documents to verify the purpose of these transactions. Well, my God. My God. This is real money we're talking about. And I ask the question, because you see, these natural neighbors of extreme negativity, they go on every radio station. They attack Mark Brantley, his cabinet colleagues, with gusto. They attack anybody around us. They attack my wife. Anybody associated with me, they attack. And they hold themselves up and they said, we are the paragons of virtue. We are the gold standard by which you should judge leadership. And the gold standard by which you should judge propriety and good governance and transparency. And I ask myself all the time, rhetorically, I ask myself rhetorically, if Mark Brantley was in charge of an institution, let us use Von Radio. Weber Herbert is in charge. So Weber, if you're listening, don't feel no way. What if Mark Brantley was in charge of Von Radio? And the owners of Von Radio, the Herbert family, hired Mark Brantley and put him in charge at Von Radio. And then Von Radio had occasion to have an independent audit done. And they found, let me go back to my notes, that $443,799.69 gone poof. To use the words of the auditors, is unaccounted for. Beautiful language. Unaccounted for. They find that US $18,116.57 or EC $49,219.07 was expended on credit card transactions that had no supporting documents. But when the auditors come, I am the man in charge at Von Radio. Those are the conclusions of the audit which have not been contradicted, an independent audit. Well, how you think the owners of Von Radio should view that? I'm curious. How should they view that? And as the man in charge, Mark Brantley, the manager of Von Radio, what responsibility would I have? What explanations would I be called upon to give? And if it is that I did nothing, in the sense that it wasn't me taking the money off the truck. It wasn't me. But the money dropped off the truck under my watch. So the question has to be, what is the responsibility of those put in charge? And I believe it's a fair question to ask. That people should say, if Mark Brantley, hired by the Herbert family to manage Von Radio, could not manage a small institution like Von Radio, well, good God, how could he manage the country? It's a fair question to ask. Because all of us have a track record. And so if under my watch at Von Radio, monies went missing daily, every day something walk out the door, then I ask the question, when I put my name forward to run the country, you say, but boss, I give you a little job there to do and you couldn't handle that job there. You want me to give you a bigger work to do? What was the management that you offered there when you were at Von? When you were the manager? When the Herbert family reposed trust and confidence in you? And whilst you were there, under your watch, this is what happened. Von went to hell in a handbasket. So, what then is the answer, ladies and gentlemen? And that's why I say I'm going to prosecute the case, you know. One thing you know about me, when I come to a public forum, I come with facts and information. You see how I read out down to the cent? I did it on purpose. I could have said, boy, nearly $500,000 gone missing. No, I give you the precise monetary value because I have my documentation to support what I'm saying. What do you say? Sometimes, in my respectful view, and I've said so to the former Prime Minister, Dr. Douglas, sometimes you have to get down on your knees and ask for forgiveness. Pray to Jehovah God, who's all forgiving. And all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Lord. Pray. Ask for forgiveness. But you must also come to the people and ask for forgiveness. Because if you hold yourself out now as an expert manager, you say in all things that you are the authority. Well, the question has to be asked. Well, Mark Brantley, as the manager of Vaughan Radio, how you run it into the ground so? How you allow that money to drop off the truck so? Huh? It was a daily occurrence. How did you manage that? How did you do so? Those are fair questions to ask of Mark Brantley. Very fair questions. And that is why I'm saying, when I hear some pontificating, who are out there with their bluster, who continue to be all of sound and fury, I wonder sometimes at the journalists in the country and the talk show hosts in the country, because you just allow people to talk, nobody asking them any question. Just allow them to talk and to spew all manner of nonsense into the airways. The host ain't asking them nothing. They just make the allegations and they run with it. That's all they do. Pick up something and run with it. And you are saying to people, the country requires serious people. People who have a track record of success. Because if you are a failure, what are you going to bring for the country but failure? What you going to bring? And why should people trust you when you have never delivered or demonstrated any capacity to deliver? Because when put to manage small things, you made a mess of it. Well, how then are you going to manage big things? And that is something that people may not like to hear. The language may be harsh, but it is something we must look at. We must look at it. When people come and offer themselves, we say, examine the horns. Look at the record. I believe one Calypsonian sing a song about show me your trophy. Demonstrate what it is you have done. And I've come here before to say so, you know. Because too many of us, once we declare ourselves as politicians, running for a seat, we develop a social conscience. In all our years, we never saw it fit to help a soul. But now, we carry a meal and we give somebody and we take a picture and put it on Facebook. You hear me? It is what I believe one artist said, people doing it not for the love but for the likes. And politics requires you to have a love of people. You see me here? I don't always get it right. Matter of fact, a lot of times I get it wrong. But when you're grounded in the love of people, you are passionate about politics because politics is about people. When you want to use people as a prop, because you never give a man anything in your life before, but you now say, I'm running, and I want people to think that I'm a generous person, that I give up myself. And so at an advanced stage, you now develop a conscience. And I see all kind of styrofoam container with food and a picture on Facebook. And you say, oh, I'm giving back. Oh my God. Giving back? After 60 years, giving back? Only when you declare yourself a candidate do you know that you can give back. That is not love of people. That is all about self-aggrandizement. That's what it's about. And if you're so interested in giving back, why publicize it? Why get the photo up to say you're giving back? You see me? I take picture of everything I do. I put it on Facebook. You know why? I'm accustomed to it. Long before I entered politics, I was arranging free vehicles for the police. 2 brand new RAV4s, I put that together. Long before I entered politics, everything that Brownhill team did, I was a sponsor. Cricket, football, I was a sponsor. Ivor Walters Primary School, fans, you name it, I'm the sponsor. That's my school. Contribute to everything up and down the community. So if me take picture of it now, it's because me accustomed to it. I'm not a Johnny come lately. And some of you who come into the politics, rather than coming with a love of people, you're trying to use people to advance your own agenda and your personal desire for self-aggrandizement. And so long as I'm here, I'm telling you, let me look into the camera, it not go happen. It not go happen. Because some people out there say they want to get in office. To get in office, you know, you have to win seats. Eric Evelyn has a seat. Spencer Brand has a seat. Alexis Jeffers has a seat. Mark Brantley has a seat. And we now go get up. If you want it, you have to take it. And you're not going to take it from us. And come election morning, the good people of St. Thomas, you have an opportunity to put somebody in that seat who can represent them in the cabinet. The days of wasting your vote, to say you're voting for the sake of voting, to send somebody to collect a salary in the parliament who can't do nothing for you, those days are over. It's time now for people to vote for results. Here they say talk that gets results. That's not my show, that's another show. But people must vote for results. And that's why the people of St. Thomas's have an opportunity to send someone to the cabinet. We're not talking about no parliament. No. Parliament is where you go to pass laws and some people use it to make noise. No. Send somebody to cabinet. That is where the business is done. No, it is 5 minutes past. I could talk for 2 hours, you know. I could talk for 2 hours and I don't even have any Red Bull tonight. Understand? Just because when you're passionate about what you do, when you're confident about what you do, when you know you love people, and people know it, people always know real from fake. They always know real from fake. They know it, they feel it. And that is why I'm so proud that the people of my constituency, since the first time I ran in 2007, have returned me each time with a bigger margin. And I thank them, the people of St. John's, the people of St. Paul's. I thank them. They have returned me with a bigger margin every single election. Why? Because they understand that I'm real. If I can help you and do something for you, I tell you I can. And if I can't, I tell you I can't. I'm not going to promise you when I know I can't deliver. And those who I've said I'll do something for, sometimes I understand people get a little impatient. But if they're prepared to say so, they will always put up their hand and say, boy, he came through for me. And you know the difference? We don't take no picture with that. I don't advertise that. I don't go and do something for a man and tell him, boy, let me take care of this for you to make your life easier and take a picture. No. You know why? Because many people have helped me in my lifetime. And my mother, Cynthia Dolores Williams, better called Vicky, better known as Vicky, a blessed memory, a beautiful woman. She always said to me, Mark, if you do something for people, remember people help you. Because we were poor people, we come from nothing. And if somebody do something for you, you have a duty to pay it on, pay it forward. To never do anything for people and talk about it. Sometimes it hurts. I remember one time listening to a radio program and a youngster for NRP was on that radio program, and when he described me, I had to stop my car because I said, my God, I didn't realize I was such a bad person. He described me in his most disparaging and derogatory terms. And one of the things he said about me, that he's challenging anybody in the country to call in and say that I've ever helped one person, because he said, I am so selfish, I don't help people. And I recall picking up my phone and deciding that I would call the station to say, but young man, I have helped you. Then I heard my mother's voice from heaven, son, never help people and talk about it. And I put my phone away and I went to my home. So sometimes it hurts, because imagine a man on radio cussing me and saying he's challenging anybody out there to call in to say one person that Mark Brantley has ever helped. And he was a beneficiary of my assistance. And I left it alone, because I was brought up right. And my mother taught me certain lessons that have served me well and continue to serve me now. Sometimes I miss her because I want to go and discuss certain things with her. I probably would have taken the CFBC audit report and say, Vic, read through this here and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Discuss it with her. Because these were people who were grounded, who had certain principles that guided them. And so I came through that. I came through that. So if you give a man a little piece of food, nobody going to take a picture and put that on Facebook. It doesn't make you great. It belittles you. Because it says that you're petty and that you're not genuine in what you're doing. Because even the good Bible speaks about the poor and puts on each and every one of us a duty to help the poor. But if you're seeking to give to the poor only to advertise the fact that you've given to the poor, then you're not genuine. And the poor become but a prop for political propaganda. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. It is 10 minutes past the hour. We're going to take some calls now and hear what the public has to say. Let us go to the phones. Good evening, you're On the Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening to you.
Yes. First of all, I'm a bit disappointed with what seems to be your contention, that unless you are in the cabinet, constituents can't be represented.
If that is what you heard, then I can assure you the show is replayed tomorrow. At 1, you should listen again.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that would be an affront to democracy and our parliamentary representative system. Yes. I mean, but you yourself was elected when NRP formed the government, weren't you?
I was elected to go to the federal parliament, yes.
To the federal. Okay, so you were never in opposition in the NIA?
No. Well, I was in opposition as a senator, a nominated member.
As a senator, right. And I'm sure you didn't tell the good people you represented that since you were in opposition, you can't represent them, right?
Who do you represent when you're nominated? I've warned you already.
So what were you doing? Just contributing?
Well, that is all you do. You don't have a constituency.
Okay.
I've always said to you that not everything you must comment on, think about it.
All right, okay, Mr. Brantley, but, you have a show. You want up all shades of opinion, I'm sure.
Okay. So but I also want opinion that informs and educates.
Okay, well, leave that to those who need to be informed and educated.
Well, I need you to help me in that regard.
Right.
Right.
Okay, but you see, I would suggest, right, that as a campaign strategy, right? I mean, if you can't find someone of the caliber of Ms. Simmons, then, don't feel the token candidate and evoke some sympathy vote that, well, that person would have your ear and that of cabinet, right? I mean, that sounds like the old pork barrel.
So you're giving me campaign advice now?
Why not?
What qualifies
I know it's unsolicited. I know it's unsolicited.
What qualifies you?
Okay. But that, that kind of attitude is what's killing us. And I would suggest that it is actually incumbent on the good people of St. Thomas's, I think it is, to make sure that there is strong opposition in the NIA to hold that body accountable, right, for Generally governments can't police themselves. With regards to the office of the opposition, I will just say that simply because you have the power to do something does not mean that you should exercise it, right? This is not consistent with the kind of gentle Nevis, I would think. It just seems...
So you think it is right that the opposition is using it for campaign purposes?
Well, you heard what I said? Even if
but I've asked you a question.
Mr. Brantley, I'm just saying that, that's small potatoes.
That's small potatoes?
You don't think so?
So you wouldn't feel anyway then if the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, cut off a little space in the Social Security building where my office is, and that becomes campaign headquarters that the taxpayers pay for?
Don't you have one-on-one with your constituents in your office?
I have one-on-ones as
people approach you?
I have one-on-one.
Make appointments?
No. I have one-on-one as Premier of Nevis. Absolutely.
Right.
That's my role.
Right.
Do you ever hear me say me have campaign meeting?
Don't you think the opposition have a role in Nevis affairs?
The elected opposition, to be sure. But not to use it as a campaign headquarters. Not even you could justify that kind of activity.
Okay. No.
Remember, you're the paragon of virtue.
I understand you're within your rights to do what you're doing.
Not about being within my right. You always say what is right and what is wrong. And here you are tonight for partisan political purposes seeking to justify the unjustifiable.
I ain't justifying a thing.
Right?
All I'm saying is that...
If that shoe was on the other foot, you would be railing.
It just appears petty.
Right?
That's my view. But with regards to the Jamaica meeting, now I understand you are the foreign minister. I understand that you're articulating cabinet and government, the government's foreign policy. And in the final analysis, your position is what counts and represents that of the country. But I am sure that you can also appreciate that this foreign policy position that you have, that you advocate, would come under some scrutiny, both locally and regionally as well. Okay, because it is not the position of some critical regional leaders. Okay. Yes, there's nothing wrong with talking and listening to the U.S. I would imagine the same would apply to talking and listening to local criticisms and regional leaders as well. In fact, even more so, for contrary to Mr. Holness's view, our interests are more aligned with each other than that of the U.S. And it's all well and good to say friends of all and foes of none, but don't you think a more principled thing is friends of all and satellites of none, as Barbados' position seems to be? Okay, you see the concern.
So why is it more principled? Because it's coming from Barbados?
No.
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
No. If you look at our history, the development of U.S. relations throughout history, you understand the dynamics at play here. Okay? I've heard you say that you respect Mia Mottley's position, her views and that sort of thing. I'm sure you do the same thing with Trinidad's Prime Minister, or even Antigua's. Okay? So it's not that theirs is superior, but given the history of the U.S. in the region, and given our regional experience, I would think that it would be nice to meet the U.S. as a united body. I mean, Antigua and Barbados and Trinidad, their relations with the U.S. have not been damaged because they didn't attend the meeting. I mean, to me, it should have learned from what happened last year when they stuck together and the U.S. essentially backed down. Okay? I think we would have
stuck together and the U.S. backed down in relation to what? What are you talking about?
Venezuela. No, I noticed that you said that, they did not bring up Venezuela. Okay? You see, Mr. Brantley, Pompeo can grin just as much as us, eh? He wasn't going to go to a meeting and read the riot act. You're not stupid. In diplomacy 2020, things don't work that way. They're more subtle. Okay? To me, he could have used other avenues to get our concerns addressed. I mean, you really think Pompeo don't know about FinCEN's, that FinCEN is squeezing us and that the problems of the risking and that Hamilton was born in Nevis. The U.S. Department of State is staffed by professionals.
So because they
who
know
have
about it,
better-
your argument is that your country's representatives ought not to bring it to their attention because they know
What
about
I'm
it
saying
already.
is that particular forum seemed divisive. Of course, you bring these things to.
So
to
what's
the
the point
attention.
you're making then? You said they know about it already. So what's the point of telling me that?
No, because you mentioned them at this particular forum, and I'm saying that I'm sure that Mr. Pompeo, since his department is staffed by professionals, would have been briefed on every
So
one
at
of
that
the leaders.
so at that forum, then I should not have raised anything on the basis that he has the best professionals and he would know everything. That's your argument.
No. It's a classic case of starting wrong and ending wrong. I'm saying that we should have stuck together as
Okay.
a region.
All right. Well, we heard that.
And one other thing,
Yes.
right? I heard your passionate intervention when at your press conference. I listened to it when someone asked about the peace initiative. I think they were coming from the point of view that, well, since gang members could be given money to start businesses and so on, why not people who have followed the rules in society? I mean, after all, you can't just turn the rules of society on its head, okay, and reward bad behavior at the expense of people who follow the straight and narrow, okay? And I think that is what people are uneasy about. And I don't think they like this mantra of the end justifying the means, right? I am yet to hear any government official articulate this policy in a good way. And I suspect it's because they know it's controversial.
Carla, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You prefer young men dying or you prefer them alive?
Is it one or the other, Mr. Brandt?
But I'm asking you a simple question because that's what used to happen.
No. Hold on.
That never used to
that's
happen.
the whole point. Why can't people question
I
methodology?
am asking you a simple question. Do you prefer
But
young
that's
men
an unfair
dying?
question, Mr. Brantley. That's saying there is not another way. This method have been tried
But I'm
before
trying to ask
in
you
the
a
region,
question.
you know.
You
with
have a
success.
situation where young men were dropping down here like flies. The country was being referred to in the most pejorative terms regionally and internationally. Highest per capita murder rate. People were afraid to open their business and have their businesses. The government
Brantley.
has sought to use a different methodology, and it appears, through the grace of God, to be yielding some results.
But-
Crime.
I understand that,
listen,
Mr. Brantley,
Paula-
and then that is good. I'm not saying that.
So what if
that's
it's as
not
good,
bad.
we'll
What
say
I'm
it is
saying-
good.
What I'm saying is,
Yes.
Antigua had 3 murders last year, right? They had a 75% reduction in crime in murders. They didn't use these methods.
But Antigua
so that's
Antigua
my
has
point.
never had the problem
we
we've
can
had, Carla.
question the methodology. Why not?
Antigua has
should.
never had the problem we've had.
Antigua
had-
had
we-
not as high
listen,
as ours.
We
Far
had
from it.
we had
But the fact
we
is,
had
we
cancer.
had a-
Listen, we had cancer. Antigua
And
had the
they-
flu, right?
They had a 75.
Well, listen,
without
Carla,
using
all right.
these-
I think you've been on here for long enough. Let's give somebody else a chance. Because you are telling me some things tonight that don't make any sense. It can't even make sense to you. Antigua had the flu. We had cancer. Right? You can't go compare that. Next thing you're going to tell me Bermuda didn't have any murders last year. And you want to compare Bermuda to us. We had a problem. And we, the public, need to say starkly, what did we prefer? Because we tried everything. We had crime plan, 10 point, 6 point, 12 point. We did all kinds of things. And the murder rate was not falling at a rate that was satisfactory to us, the people of the country. 35 murders in 2011. 23 up to 2018. And the government said, let us find a different way. We have tried a different way. And through the grace of God, that way is working. And people who today might have been dead, might have been at Springfield or down here at the Britannic, they are walking around and contributing to society. And good God, you all still call and complain and cuss about it. So I have to ask a question. Do you prefer young men dying? Is that the answer? Let's go back to the phones and see if we can get some callers here to share their views. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Honorable Brantley.
Good evening to you.
And good evening to people home and abroad, Carl Brown from Fountain and St. Kitts. The Honorable Mark Brantley, I want to touch on this two double salary thing because I have been sitting and studying and something refreshed my memory. Between the year 2006 and 2013, when the NRP led the local government in Nevis, then we had the Honorable Patrice Nisbet as a federal minister and advisor to the local government in Nevis.
What period you say?
Sometime between 2006 and 2013, when NRP led the reins
Yes.
of the local government in Nevis.
Yes.
Then the Honorable Patrice Nisbet was a federal minister and an advisor to the then government in Nevis.
He was legal advisor in Nevis, as far as I'm aware, from 2006.
Yes. So the
Yes.
question I'm asking, the legal advisor in Nevis, was that for free?
No.
So that salary in Nevis and the federal salary, that ain't two salaries?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask him because it looks like everybody know about two salaries.
Okay. Another thing, sometime between that time, right, was the Honorable, at that time, the Honorable Roberto Hector was a minister in Nevis, and during that time, wasn't he some kind of advisor to the then government in St. Kitts?
No, I believe he became an advisor after they lost in Nevis in 2013.
Oh,
remember
okay.
after they lost in 2013, Dr.
Oh,
Douglas,
yes,
Dr.
yes,
Douglas took them all in and put them on the St. Kitts payroll.
But you realize that very rare, you wouldn't hear anything from the Honorable Patrice Nisbet about two salaries.
Well, I mean, all of them seem to have short memories. The reality is,
Well, I ain't
right?
have short memory.
Well, you need to remind them.
Well, I'm
right?
reminding the world and all those opposite who complaining about
Listen.
you two salaries and the other branch.
My brother, let me tell you this. Patrice Nisbet has been an elected member in the federal parliament for nearly 20 years. Right?
Yes.
Patrice Nisbet became legal advisor to the NIA in 2006. He got a salary for that, and he got a salary as a member, an elected member of the federal parliament.
Well,
he
Mr.
got,
Daly, you support your opponent in this federal election.
who you say that is?
Please to tell him that the Honorable Patrice Nisbet used to get two salaries and is in his party.
Well, I don't need to tell them anything, because I am saying, listen, when Hensley Daniel of the NRP was deputy premier of Nevis, Hensley ran against me to get into the federal parliament.
Yes.
He never at any point said, why if I get in there, I'm not going to take no money. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Patrice Nisbet was the Attorney General of this country in 2011 and in 2011 and again in 2013. And he ran to get into the Nevis Parliament too.
Yes.
He never once said, why if I get you, I'm not going to take the next salary.
And
Hector,
these people...
wait, I'm not finished yet.
Mm.
Mr. Elhansville Hector was a member of the Nevis Parliament for which he's paid, and he ran against me in 2015, said he wanted to get into the federal Parliament as well.
Yes, and he was rejected.
Well, you see, that is a problem because the people say that they do not have the capacity and therefore reject them. They vex with other people who get through. That is really the problem, because this double salary thing only arose after they were rejected.
Yes.
They start to say, oh, people getting two pay. I was a nominated member in the Nevis NIA getting a salary in 2006, and then I became elected in the federal house and became leader of the opposition in 2007, and I got my salary in St. Kitts as well.
Yes.
Vance Amry was premier of Nevis getting a salary, and he was on the opposition benches in St. getting a salary. Malcolm Gishard was deputy premier of Nevis getting a salary, and he was leader of the opposition in St. getting a salary. Everybody now is talking about Mark Brantley like I invent something.
Like this,
right?
This is something new.
Go through the records are there.
Exactly.
Right? Sim Daniel, the Right Honorable and Right Excellent, was Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance in St.
In St. Kitts.
Ivor Stevens was Minister of Works in Nevis and Minister of Works in St. Kitts. These were NRP founders.
This is almost as old as Brinston Hill.
I'm sorry?
This is almost as old as Brinston Hill. And your opponent giving people the impression like he just come up 2015, there when Unity win.
Listen to me. I don't have any idea what it is these people are talking about, and that is why I think the most of the electorate just ignore them. Because, as I said, it is only after trying and being rejected. If they said on principle that they're only running to go to St. Kitts to work for free, then why they never tell the public that when they ask them to vote for them?
And they come down here and they say week after week, year after year, that no NRP officials ever take 2 salaries. Right. And people don't follow the history.
And the people,
but the records is there.
And the people who are entertaining them on these shows don't ask them no
questions.
Don't
ask the question.
Right? And that is the problem I have.
And don't do the homework and go to the record.
Ask the questions.
And go to the records because the records are still sitting there.
So when Patrice...
Look, see me here.
When Patrice Nisbet comes, ask him if he got a salary as legal advisor. And was he not also collecting a salary as a parliamentarian in St. Kitts?
Exactly.
The records are there. What are you going to say, no? Right? Anyway, my brother, thanks for the call. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello.
Good night to the honorable prayer.
Good evening to you, you're on the mark.
Oh, yes. But I want to tell you, Mark, you know that is only a political strategy they're coming with. You understand? But I listened to your opening statement, and I want to commend you going on behalf of the government, the foreign minister, to interact with the Secretary of the State and, lay everything down there on the table.
Yes.
We want to respect for that. That is where unity is all about. You understand? And that is where togetherness, because never before we had that kind of representation from the foreign minister, whether in St. Kitts or Nevis or whatsoever, and a unity thing going out there, and bringing back wealth to the federation. So, Mark, we got to highly praise you, man. You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
And these nested who out there and trying to fling all kind of darts at you and the team unity, I know that you will never know that work. Because Nevis is on the right track. The people of Nevis happy. The people in the Federation of St. Kitts happy. Because everybody know what the unity got to offer. And when that bill ring again, I just calling on me good Nevision them up there, me family them. You understand? Good night, me family. Good night, Nevis. Whether blood family or family in team unity, good night. Mark, you have a wonderful night. You are doing well.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:32 or thereabouts. Do we have anybody holding? Yes, the calls are coming in. Callers, we have asked you to call in 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. We're trying some cases here tonight. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, concerning the same speaking over thinking every Tuesday, go back in on radio. I mean, you see every time you go along is some kind of politician attack. You never get facts anyway, as far as I see. I mean, sometimes when people don't do, they better stop over for them to do.
Well, but you see, they have nothing else to do. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, every time go to salary making all kind of people. I hear making an idea about the four-season manager and local people manager. Anyone who doesn't need to have a local manager. It doesn't seem like the four-season must belong to the government. So the government must choose four-season manager.
I don't know. I didn't know we could do that. So who was the four-season manager when NRP was in? There was ever a local manager?
The same question I'm asking. My brother, this man doesn't get facts, right?
You know?
I mean, they're saying, oh, the thing about the girl that the CEO has told him, the best president from Grenada, he had a problem with foreigners, but why this person shouldn't get the job? Because this person, he knows the strong support of the CCM. Why he didn't get the job? I mean, at one point, they had a chance for office too. Didn't they had a guy from the CEO and a moving about from Barbados to do the same job?
Exactly.
I don't understand these people who have the facts.
Listen, brother, I don't even interested in getting into them kind of argument there because they're foolishness, right?
That's it.
That's foolishness because they have, and that's what I keep reminding people, they have a record.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say these things, people must be able to say, well, but when you were there, this is what you did, right?
Yeah, I don't listen to the program, but some of the part of people radio might be talking.
Yeah, but I am not getting into that because to me, those positions you try to get the best person that is available, and the board went through a process. The board said this is the person. They had their discussions, and I think what we need to do is to rally around this young person and hope that we get the benefits for Nevis, right?
That's how I want to
That is what we're looking at. I don't understand. I don't understand why they're trying to bash the young person. Why they're going on like that. I always tell people, we have a way down here to talk about foreigners and foreigners this and foreigners that, right? The same gentleman you're talking about. Ask him where all the brother and sister them live.
And I'm saying, I think question, oh, he have nothing against the foreigners, but this should happen and that should happen.
Right? They always know what should have happened. But when they were in charge at other places, they didn't know what happened.
And then that's the thing I said too, because at the same situation with the teacher college, people are making them say, oh, they don't know what's going on. But if you're in charge and think, the same way you premier the country, if anything happens, they question you. So if you're in charge at some place, you got to hold the whole foot to the fire.
But if a man drives on the road tonight and hit a donkey, the premier involved. You understand? That is the responsibility that comes with high office.
That's it.
And this thing about me didn't know and me didn't what and no, right? The questions have to be asked of the person who was in charge.
So what were you doing then? You were in charge. What you were doing?
Well,
that means you were doing the work.
Thanks for the call. Let's keeping on. 25 to the hour of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm sorry. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
You're telling me that seven divisions that was applying for the job, none of them was qualified?
I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you there was a process and the board made a selection. That is what I'm telling you.
I don't care what process it was. These people was in that business for years and years and years.
How do you know these people who was in the business?
What she knows about Navy?
Caller, how do you know who applied and who was in the business?
Well, there were 7 applications that I heard of.
So I don't understand.
And there was a lady sending an application and somebody threw it away, and when they told her they can't find it, she made another application, and then it was too late.
Caller, I have no...
Mr. Blanty, your justification is okay, but I still think there's no way that 7 people could fail and one person coming from Grenada pass. Good night.
All right. Look, caller, you have your point of view. You were not part of the process. I was not part of the process. And so we have to respect the process. I don't understand how this hullabaloo that, oh, Nevis people apply, so Nevis people should get it. Is that the standard now? Or CCM people apply, so CCM people should get it? What really is the standard? If the people went through a process and made a selection and say that this was the best person at the time to do that, then what am I to tell them? Tell them no? Because the person was born in Nevis? I mean, what are we saying, really? I mean, this thing about foreigners and foreigners, I hate the argument. It's a silly argument. Because all of us who cussing foreigners got people in foreign country. People listening tonight in New York, in Toronto, in St. Martin and St. Thomas. What really are we saying in Nevis? I mean, we must stop it. Every time there's something happening here, we go on this foreigner thing, foreigner. We must stop it. And as Premier of Nevis, I am not going to condone it. And I tell people all the time, I'm informed by my own life. And for 40 years, my father lived in foreign lands, and if a little money didn't come home, I dead hard and dead hungry. And suddenly in Nevis now, we have a little something. We have come a long way, and we have no respect anymore for our history. We must stop it, caller. And I'm not going to condone it. You have your point of view, I have mine. You're entitled to yours, I'm entitled to mine. Right? We must never forget the road that we walked. And as a boy in Brownhill, I remember me and my sisters them counting the barrels going into Brownhill come Christmas. Our people in foreign lands who got an opportunity in foreign lands kept us out of hungry in Nevis. They kept us alive. And now today we got a little money in our pocket, so we up and down, cost the Guyanese, cost the Jamaican, cost the foreigners, what them doing here, forgetting that if St. Martin tomorrow decide we're sending out the people from Nevis, if St. Thomas decide, if Tortola decide, if New York City and Florida and London decide, Lord God, Nevis sink. We must seek to elevate our thinking in this country. And I'm not going to apologize for it. We must stop this behavior. Some of the people are here making the most noise about somebody who's not from Nevis getting a position in Nevis. They might make noise from America. You hear what I tell you? America them live, and I make noise from America. We can't develop and we can't grow like that. Everybody knows there's nobody more division than me. None. I defend this island with everything I have. I would die for this island with everything I have. But at the end of the day, let us stop this parochial type of thinking. This thinking that we must always have us against them. Because a lot of people come here for the same reason that we went to their lands. Try to find a way, make a better way. Support our families. And I don't know who you are, I didn't recognize the voice, but what I will tell you is that I'm sure if you are like the average division, you got picnic, brother, sister, uncle living out there. Right? And how would you feel if they applied for a position for which they were qualified and they got to the position and people were to say no, run them out the country because they bought an Nevis? We have, and I am the strongest advocate of Nevisians first. Nevisians must succeed and they must command the heights in the Nevisian economy. But when there's a process and the process has been gone through, I don't know nobody went to Grenada and pick up somebody off the street and say, you come. They said they had 40-something applications. They whittled it down to 12. From 12, they went down to 4. From 40 down to 4. They emerged and were able to hire this young lady. Well, my God, what else do you want them to do? What else should they do? And that is the difficulty I have because everybody up and down. This is a Caribbean sister. Everybody up and down, oh, she's a foreigner. Like, you know, got foreign people that are foreign too. Huh? Like Christmas time come and the card come with 20 US and 50 US and I'm not happy about it. We must stop it. The head of the head of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, everybody saying how tourism booming in St. Kitts is a Jamaican. You don't hear no big noise and set a talk about it. The head of CFBC in St. Kitts from Barbados. The head of NEVLEC in Nevis from St. Lucia. What is all of this? And that is why I have a difficulty with our people when they go down that road. And I'm not going to support it. If anybody vexes me over it, that's a matter for you. But I'm not going to support it because too many of us live in foreign lands and make it in other people's country. And then in our own country, we want to condemn everybody who tried to come here and make something for themselves. We need to stop it. Let's go back to the phones. 20 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Greetings, my beloved brother.
Greetings to you. Where you calling from?
New York, my brother.
Oh, Lord.
Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to be sure that you're in New York. That's all. Go ahead.
My brother, when I hear this ridiculous, I mean, I didn't call out this topic, but I'm going to do a thing with that so-called foreigner. But when I hear that nonsense, when African people calling one another foreigners, come on. That's the most dumbest, ridiculous thing I ever hear, my beloved brother. That's total nonsense. We are the same people. Listen, I have no problem, right, with our people who are born in St. Kitts Nevis. Must be first and foremost. But, brother, if our people, right, African people are born in the Federation, is not qualified to do a certain job, and another African from another part of the Caribbean or any other part of the world get that job, but I have no problem whatsoever. And this foreign nonsense about foreigners. But it's full time me put this foolishness to just bury it once and for all. Now, my beloved brother, with the CARICOM thing, my position is, let me say, you know how I feel about you, and you're the best foreign minister ever so far in the history of St. Kitts Nevis, brother. The best foreign minister so far, beloved. But, all I'm saying, right, the 15 members in CARICOM should have sit at that table, beloved. All 15. That's my problem with that. And I am saying too, beloved, look how they have the Vincent Advisory and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, beloved, brother. And we went up, I think about 3 years ago, the FATCA legislation. Look how quick we went. This administration went and passed that. What do you want to tell me after almost 5 years in office, this administration up here in the United States cannot see that administration in St. Kitts and Nevis is on the right road, doing the right thing, and you want to tell me up to now that advisory cannot be removed? But I am not saying. Let me ask you this question if you want to answer, beloved. If you don't want to, it's okay. When you met with Pompeo, did you bring up the Vincent Advisory and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, my beloved?
Of course.
Okay, and at you at liberty to say what was his reaction?
Well, I mean, his reaction is that this is an important matter and that they will have to look into it. I mean, that is what we do. We have discussions on these matters.
But you see, brother, it's all for 5 years. Like, when you say 5 years, let me level it up at 5 years. But I see that this administration is not like the cabal, the evil empire that we had from 1995 to 2015, who run amok a lot of things. That's why the advisory came, beloved. But they can see that this administration is different. How much longer, beloved? What you want to be? And next, 20 years? But I am saying the time has come. And this federation, this administration has demonstrated, beloved brother, that they are not like the cabal that we had. So, brother, I don't see why that advisory should remain, brother. And next time, brother, we must be forceful, man, and tell this. Look, we have demonstrated everything. What else? Just like in the Canadian thing, too, beloved. I know it's not this administration who want to mock that. After 5 years, the visa thing is still, brother. Not coming. Beloved, that's my problem, and this administration is bending backwards, beloved. And where's the result?
All right.
Canada, United States, they must do the right thing and must do it now. Beloved brother, because this federation have done the right thing, do everything that they require. And where's the result? That's my problem. Beloved brother, like again, keep up the great work, the best foreign minister so far, but that's my problem. But we must be forceful. We need that Vincent Advisory to be removed, and we need a visa-free access to Canada, my beloved brother. Work on that, and more countries on the African continent, beloved brother,
right.
And we must build those embassies on the African continent.
All right. Thank you. We'll have to leave it there.
For hearing me, continue to listen before you go to work. Pan-Africanism happens. Well, now, beloved.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we have 14.
Anytime, beloved.
All right, we have 14 minutes left. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Let's go straight back to the phones. Okay, we'll wait for your call. Please be patient with us. 869-469-1616. Let's go. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Hello, good evening. This is Mavis.
Hi, Mavis. How are you?
I am good. I'm calling on a number of issues.
Yes.
One, I want to commend the government for taking the opportunity to work with the young men and preventing the death of our young men. It has a trickle-down effect in the schools, and I am seeing the results. We have been able to curtail some of the violence at school. We have young men who are no longer as angry as they used to be in our school environment. So that's a big plus for us. Another thing I want to commend and comment on is having foreigners here in Nevis and giving them the opportunity. We know that it's a global village at the moment, and we must embrace that. What I want to encourage our people to do is to be proactive and work to better themselves. I mean, I did it at age 48 over in Indonesia, and I'm saying others can do it too. You're never too old to learn, and you're never too old to seek a new opportunity. And this is what I want to encourage people to do. I'm not standing here to say that it is easy. It was never easy. I was in a country without the language, but I made my way, and I'm proud that I did.
Yes.
And I hope that I was a good example for my students and for my daughter. So, publicly, I want to say thank you, God bless, and to all the others and all these islands we have around the world, please take advantage. The opportunities are wide. So a better you, better leave it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Very heartfelt, and I certainly do appreciate it, Mavis. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. We have 10 minutes left. We can take a few calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you are interested in being a part of this show this evening. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Hey, good evening, Mark. How are you doing?
Good evening to you. I'm fine, thanks.
You know what is so funny about this whole thing about foreigners and all kind of things? These same set of people making noise about foreigners, one of them just calling say you should have stand in solidarity with Antigua and Barbados. So they only know unity when it seems to benefit them politically. You know, these kind of talk really, really irritating. Because you're going to call and say one thing. Or stand in solidarity with Antigua and didn't go to Jamaica to meet with the foreign minister for the U.S. or the Secretary of State for the U.S., but because you hire somebody, you had an interview process and the board decided to go this direction, they're going to chastise and talk about foreign and foreigners. So foreign only relevant when it comes to certain matters. This hypocrisy and thing is really, really, really unbelievable at times.
Well, I actually didn't even think of it that way, and I'm happy you called because you're putting an interesting perspective, because you're right. On the one hand, people are clamoring that we have regional unity and saying that the region should stand together. And yet you're talking about you're going to find somebody at Grenada like Grenada is Mars.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, that's the type of thing that we get. But I think that a lot of our people, I think, respond to matters with a set of emotionalism rather than looking at things rationally and sensibly. And then you have actors out there who are actively fomenting and trying to create confusion. And what is the confusion? I'm happy that a caller called in to remind us that when NRP was there, they chose different people to manage the affairs at the NTA as well.
Of course.
As all of us have done.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the issue? And not that I'm trying to say anything untoward, but I pointed out the fact that the SKTA is headed by a Jamaican. Nevlec right now is headed by a St. Lucian. Right? We didn't hear all this hullabaloo.
And this tourism authority thing has dated back to as far as well. My memory tells me back to Helen Kidd.
Well,
I don't think she was from
exactly.
And she did a fantastic
Helen
job.
Kidd was from Scotland, and a white woman. Not that I need to add that, but I think that is important.
But you know, funny, maybe if you had gone to Scotland, they would not have feel so.
Well,
you know.
But brother, I'm thanking you for that point, because I didn't see that point, and you're right, because as you say, the same people who making noise about and criticizing us for going to Jamaica for a meeting to which we were invited are the very same ones now who are saying that somehow something is wrong with hiring a Caribbean national for a job.
Exactly.
Right? But anyway, I mean, these things people, will say. I have said to the young woman, that we're looking for results. That is what Nevis needs, and I believe that she has the passion, and I believe she can deliver. And that ultimately was the view of the board, having looked at everybody.
And that's what the board was looking at.
Right? So that is where we are, and I would have to, when we appoint these boards, we have to appreciate that they have a job to do, and they're professionals and they do their job.
Exactly.
So we have a brand new board at the Tourism Authority. It is now headed by Pamela Martin, who's the resort manager at Nisbet. She's in your chair. We have people like Omel Wilkin, who we know is a travel expert there at the airport. We have Oral Brandy at the head of NASPA, the manager of NASPA. We have John Hanley, who's the PS in tourism. We have a gentleman called Andre Marcano. He's the head of Golden Rock. And we have Richie Lupinacci Jr., who's the man at Hermitage. So I think we have a good reflection of the tourism and the tourism industry here. And my sense is that we have a new beginning. You know, Greg Phillip was there for many years, and Greg really contributed significantly, but Greg has moved on to other things.
Yeah.
And so the board went through a process, and so we have a sense of renewal at the NTA, and my hope would be that we would get the best results.
Well, that's what we are hoping for, because in the end, the results will then be benefits of everybody, every division.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it. We have 6 minutes left when we're taking your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show this evening. And it has been a lively show. We have had a few things to discuss, and as people would see, I'm now in campaign mode. And when I'm in campaign mode, it's a no-nonsense kind of mode. Because you have to be direct and straight with people. And I believe that we have, as Nivisions, to change our mindset, the way that we think about people, the way that we are continually prepared to attack and put down our own brothers and sisters from the region, our own. We must try to move away from that. And remember that all of us, Tut, Mun, Sam, and Bagay, have people living somewhere else. All. And so sometimes when we talk and we start to attack foreigners and we say, oh, the guy needs them this and the Spanish them that and whatever, we must figure out where we ourselves are. I got a friend of mine, Lord of mercy. He got all kind of nasty things to say about foreigners. And every time I see him cussing the foreigners, I say, you still a certain place? Because foreign he there, you know. He there foreign and cussing foreigners in Nevis. You ever tell you? We must, try to think things through. Let's go back to the phones. 5 minutes to the hour. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Let's go back to the phones. 5 minutes to the hour. Good evening, you're on the mark. Let's go back to the phones. 5 minutes to the hour. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello?
Yes, please listen to your phone, not to the...
Hello, good evening.
Yes.
Please listen to your phone, not to the... Yes.
Hello, could you shut off your computer or move away from it so that I can talk to you? You're listening to the playback.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yes, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, that guy, the bunk called Nabu, why is such a hypocrite? He cussed you out all week long about the meeting in Barbados, as if he knows what the meeting was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that he don't know, none of us know. After the guy would have called the craftsman would speak to you all, take up so much time. Cuss you out and say you indicated him and others why you guys meet for, which is not so. So, Mr. Premier, thanks for your position as Prime Minister, as our Minister. Okay, well, nobody said when we had the problem with Douglas for 26 months, where was the CARICOM community? They forget all that, but they didn't know where you're going to meet for, and they start judging you and chastising you. But Mr. Partly, you're Premier, and we love you.
Thank you, brother.
You're a hero.
Thank you. I appreciate
Good
it.
night and God bless.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. We got 4 minutes left. Let's take some calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Good evening. I was listening with somebody tell me that you are at some kind of vote and you win all the votes, so you will be the next Prime Minister, guys, right? I don't know, sir, and they want to know if you're going to come from Nevis, and well, we're supposed to be the headquarters, but you're going to be the headquarters in Nevis, yeah. And tell everybody have a good night.
All right, my dear.
And to take a host. Okay, have a
All
good
right, thank you. You saw a little hosty. I hope you're okay, though. I hope you feel better, okay? All right, let's go back to the phones. We can take probably one more call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
I don't normally call in to shows, but for some reason I find myself calling tonight. No.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so you have to be quick.
Yeah. I was in Nevis over the weekend. For a long time I wasn't in Nevis. I didn't come today. And I heard the opposition banging the chest, back, talking, nothing doing in Nevis. All I have to say, keep up the good work, sir. I appreciate and I'm proud of what I saw.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you. Okay. We have time for another call? No? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that's our show. It has been a very good show. I feel like I'm back. Welcome back. It's going to be campaign time. I'm telling you, if your stomach is not so good, if your constitution is weak, you need to get some kind of thing to drink, maybe some formula. Build up yourself, because it's going to be now campaign time, and the campaign in chief is here. The reality is that we have a case to make to the people of Nevis, and we must make that case. We must make it eloquently and honestly, and that is what I intend to do. You will see us in the byways and the highways, in the alleyways. We will come to talk to you, and we will be here at campaign headquarters, VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, because we have a case to make, and each man and each woman will have to stand on his or her record. If they have a record in public office, they will have to stand on that. If they have a record managing an institution and being in charge of an institution, they will have to stand on that. If they have a record in their personal life, they'll have to stand on that. We are running on our record because we think with Team Unity, it's a proud record, and we think as an NIA, we have an excellent track record that we can run on. The people of St. Thomas's, we are appealing to you. Send somebody to cabinet. Send somebody to cabinet. That is the message. Don't just vote for somebody to send them in parliament. Send somebody who you're sure is going to be in cabinet around the table when important decisions affecting your community are being made. That's what we want for the people of St. Thomas's. And we intend to come and see you. And we hope that you will listen with an open mind and an open heart and be there to ensure that the next representative of the good people of St. Thomas's is a concerned citizens movement representative. Because at the end of the day, we remain in government. Whatever happens in the by-election, we remain in government. So send somebody who can make a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, the band has struck up. It means we have to go. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And I shall come back next week, God willing, to continue the prosecution of this important case. That's our show. Good night and God bless. All right.